Welcome to American Survival Guide Television with your host, Amber Hargrove.
Hello, everybody. And of course, we have the one famous person here, Joe Flowers. What is going on, brother?
Hey, how you doing? I'm not famous as you on TV before, so get all the real cred.
I think of your name and I think of so many people in the survivalist world and community have so much respect for you. And whenever they say Joe Flowers, machete comes up. And it's so entertaining because I love hearing about the stories, not just from you. This is actually the first time I've ever got a chance to meet you, Joe, in person.
Yeah.
Well, welcome today, and we're really excited to have you on American Survival Guide. And I know for a fact that your history as a survivalist, I did a little research on you, and you're from North Carolina is what you were saying, and that's where you are currently?
Yep. I'm up in the mountains of North Carolina, in Sparta, a tiny little town, kind of near the Virginia border.
Nice. I know, and it talks about you going in the mountains all the time and freezing your rear off, if I'm not mistaken, what was said.
It's like people have that one fear, and it's like I'm not a cold weather fan so much, so I moved up here with my wife, but like it's not nearly as cold as like some places like Chicago and all that. I don't know how people live up there. It's scary to me.
Yes, I don't blame you. I'm in Colorado currently right now and Montana back and forth, so I get to experience the best of both worlds. But now, Joe, describe yourself as a survivalist. How did you even get into this field?
I watched Crocodile Dundee way too much as a kid. People have all these like shows that they remember watching, Hopalong Cassidy or Flash Gordon, or all the way up to even Crocodile Hunter or something like that. But my parents just let me keep watching Crocodile Dundee on VHS. And here's this dude with a big knife. Yeah. He's out in the Australian outback and he loves reptiles and he's fun to hang around. And I just kept playing that VHS over and over and over again, and said, hey, I'm gonna really get into reptiles and really love running around and playing with big knives. And so basically I do that today still.
I love it. So right now, currently, you are actually an instructor, a survivalist outdoor instructor as well, right?
Yes. In North America, I own a company called Bushcraft Global, where I take people down to South America, bring them out to the middle of the jungle and hang out with indigenous tribesmen, the guys who actually really do stuff. Amber, we sit here and we like instruct all day long. This is how to do way better than me at it. But in the U.S., I run around most of the United States teaching and doing classes and stuff just like you do at Blade Show. Teaching people things and having fun meeting people. Today I have to go take a whole bunch of kids in Virginia and go out salamander hunting. So it changes every day. It's really, really fun.
So how do you feel about teaching families how to be a survivalist and just be not as a prepper itself, but to get this, like for us at American Survival Guide, we believe in always being prepared for the worst that could happen at any point in America. How do you feel about training families to prepare for that?
It's a really important field, especially nowadays when, even my kids are sitting there in front of an iPad a lot. And when you take people outside, or just not even being outside, just like getting used to doing stuff with their hands, it kind of puts them in a whole new aspect of I don't know, looking at, hey, I'm able to do this. I mean, just for instance, some of the kids yesterday when I was teaching survival class or a fire making class had never lit a match before, and they were in like the 5th grade. And so nowadays, I'd say it's way more important than even normal because we're in such a technological society where we're always able to do all this stuff. I don't have to look at the paper. I just ask Alexa or my phone what the weather is today and all that stuff too. And getting out and actually doing stuff, not even just being outside, but doing stuff with your hands and doing that's very important. And we're kind of getting away from that. So now more than ever, it's more important.
I definitely agree with that. I see it all the time. And I see that you have a YouTube channel as well.
Mm-hmm. It's not that great. I'm not a very good YouTuber because I'm not consistent. But
well, the importance is you're actually putting out there, taking your time to give people showing them how to train for that. And the basic survival skills, the reality is a lot of people wouldn't have the ability to do it. And that's why it's so important I always say, train, train, train. You can read as many books as you want, but until you get your hands-on experience, it's a whole different world. So what you bring to the community out there is quite amazing. And I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
What is the scariest situation you have ever been in being a survivalist?
There's a couple, but probably when I was down in South America, I'm trying to think about which ones I can say on camera.
Okay.
The one down in South America, the very first time I was in on the Brazilian-Colombian line, and I was with another gentleman, and there had been some things happening in this tiny little jungle town out in the middle of nowhere, and some people didn't like the main guy I was on the expedition with. And so they said some things about him. Hey, he's smuggling guns or drugs. I'm not even sure what. And so we had a whole bunch of Brazilian federales come up on us with, their HKs and, fingers on the trigger, and they're screaming at him to get on the ground. And he was screaming back at them because he's a ex-colonel or something in the Israeli Special Forces. And we have all these guns on us, and one of the best ways I've learned to survive in that situation is just smile a lot and relax and well, they ended up putting him away for a little while because he was having some altercations with them, but I had to take over the expedition. So there I was out in the middle of the Amazon having to help out most of his expedition members and help him because he had dengue fever at the time. So he was in jail, coughing up, and his health wasn't very good. And trying to really organize all that. So that was pretty scary. That was, for me, I'm not I haven't had like the military experience you have or anything along that lines. I haven't had guns pointed at me before. So that was fun. It wasn't fun. It was interesting.
I like how you say it's fun because it is exciting. It's something different, a little scary. But you stayed calm and controlled just as a survivalist should. So I look forward to actually meeting you in person this summer. Hopefully we could figure out a way to do behind the scenes with American Survival Guide, show who you are and what you do. And there's so many families that want to reach out to, especially with their kids, to get training from you and what you offer to the community. So you're a big deal, whether you think so or not. A lot of people respect you. So talk to me about your machete and what inspired you to start that.
Well, one of the biggest things about machetes is not a lot of people know about them, right? Especially here in America, I don't wake up, Amber, and pick up my machete first thing in the morning. I look at, Instagram or something like that. Whereas like down in South America, it's the opposite. They have to fix thatching on their houses or, depending on what situation they're in, they need to get up and work their crops. And it's such a hands-on tool. And it really got me interested in the fact that we talk about using knives a lot. We love knives, at least I do, and I'm sure you do, a lot. And these guys are always using these blades all the time. Arguably, they're one of the most used edge tools in the world right now. And these guys, like I could hang out with a 5-year-old down there and they can outcarve me on a piece of wood in a second. And they're doing this all day long. So when I got into really researching that, I started talking to machete companies. There was one Condor tool and knife that had just started coming to America and making a higher end machete. And I talked to them about designing and 10 years later, I'm designing for them, which is pretty cool. I'm blessed to be able to do that. But going down to El Salvador a lot and seeing how these people are using machetes is mind blowing because they're fixing everything with their machetes. They're hunting with machetes. They're doing their crops with machetes because, in a lot of different places, it's hard to have a John Deere on the side of a very, very steep slope. And then some people can't even afford that type of tractor anyway. So they're using these blades a lot. And in North America, where we have the mechanized agriculture industry, you don't see that so often. So basically the hands-on fact of machetes and then just really liking machetes is kind of where I got started with that.
Nice. It's true because even when I went to Ecuador to film for my 40-day challenge, I realized my Ivana, she was my best friend out there, and I'm like, she had a machete, and my machete, it just kept getting chipped. It wasn't the right brand for me. Lesson learned: always make sure you're prepared with the right tool and brand. And Giovanna's was a craftsmanship. It was this gentleman made it. I'm not going to say his name, but I went out there and I destroyed everything with machete. And as soon as I think of going to South America, I think of you and experiencing you, because Bobby Bushcraft recently went there with you. I was so jealous that I couldn't go with you guys for 10 days out there. But man, what an experience, having to have basic survival skills and go out there with nothing, no cell phone. You're literally hunting for your food, which I appreciate more than anything. It really changes the aspect of life in general in America. We are spoiled here, and we're very blessed. And it's funny because the one thing I wanted after 40 days was to sit on a toilet. A toilet! I mean, who would have thought that, right?
No, 100%. Oh man, that's like the first thing that, you know Joshua Swanigan? Of course. The first thing we made, because he'll tell you guys about this, he had some intestinal problems. First thing we made for him when we were down in the jungle was a toilet. And I was like, guys, we're doing this every single time. It's nice to sit down. It may be the natural way to squat, but I like the toilet time too. What are we talking about?
I mean, like, I can't even tell you how many times I fell, even squatting the Amazon when it was raining on. It's pouring rain, and we're on a slope like this. And I'm like, there's nowhere else to go. You don't want the camera crew to see you go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Oh, I can admit I've rolled in the dirt with that, but it was a good experience. But it changes your thought process on the things that we have every day. And I'm so grateful you take people out with you to do this. So tell me a little more about that. How can we sign up for something like that?
Well, there's spots open on this trip. It's this year for 2020. It is July 22nd through August 4th. You contact me through bushcraftglobal.com or bushcraftglobal@gmail.com, and I set you up. It's $2,500 for 14 days, and that covers everything except for airfare. And it's a great time, man. Last year, Amber, we made bows. Then we went bow hunting for fish and other critters. Then we made slingshots. We had slingshots down there, but we made some. And we ran out of ammo. So we jumped down to the bottom of the lake, got clay, and fired our own clay balls to shoot the different animals with. Then we mounted the arrows onto the slingshots, and we're doing slingshot arrow hunting. And this was all with stuff that we made out in the bush. It was super fun.
That is quite impressive there. I can only imagine your classes here to help even just Americans out there just prepare themselves for the worst. So, Joe, you are phenomenal. And is there anything you would like to say to your followers out there?
Well, honestly, she's been out in the jungle for longer than I have, 40 days. My longest was like 18, 19 days. So, and all of that. So that's pretty legit. But it doesn't matter what you do. Just if you get outside and use your hands instead of just reading the stuff in the magazines and in the books, you see it and go out and try and do it. You learn a lot. That's how I got started. I was on the forums as a kid and as a sub-adult, which is still questionable. Just got out there and did stuff and enjoyed it. And that's kind of where you get going. No matter if you're gonna make or whatever, just go out there and have fun. And do it. That's the first part.
I definitely appreciate that. You definitely inspire many people to get outdoors. And like I said, your name is well respected in the knife community as well as survivalist community. So thank you for who you are. And what is that on your necklace? What do you have going on there?
One of them is from Matisse tribe, which is really crazy because when they make them, they have to stretch this long beaded thing on a stone, and they sand it completely while it's on the string. And then another one is a soapstone carving that I got from a friend of mine, which is just a leaf right now. And I think the other one is just some beads that I got from a Tibetan person. Nice. I can't remember which ones I'm wearing. We got to have that bushcraft bling. Yo.
Is that what it is, bushcraft? It's so funny because you see most people walk around when they have necklaces that look like a design, but it's actually a fire starter.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I mean, like
my necklace.
Yeah. I have magnesium in here, and it's funny because people are like, oh, you have such a jewel on your necklace. I'm like, you have no idea. I can start a fire with it. It's even wonderful. I mean, it's just like the basic survival skills and tools out there that we have on us that we're always ready. So that's why I was wondering what you had going on there. I'm like, I
had to look down at the screen. I'm like, no way, there's magnesium in her necklace. That's incredible.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I got little chips of them. I'm one of those. I'm always prepared, and I'm actually in Colorado. It's beautiful here. So, but I'm telling you, North Carolina. I've been there several times, and it is stunning up there. I mean, the survival hills out there. I know it gets cold, but it is freezing here. So you are very
no. It's like when you have to have a car warmer for your battery and stuff. I'm like, oh wow, that's legit. Let's be real.
Definitely. And there's a couple of things I was going to ask you really quick before we end this. When you talk about fishing and spear fishing, do you ever do that here in the States?
Yeah. It just depends on the legality of the area you're at. When I do it, it's normally at a private pond. Doing it on a river and all that, it just depends. Well, you can do it, of course, on the coastal plains, and I've done it a lot. My parents live in South Carolina near the beach, and so flounder gigging with all sorts of different types of things to stab them with. But in the U.S., for instance, Amber, I can't take people out in the New River and take them spearfishing for trout, but some other species can. But if I can do spearfishing there for trout, and that way you can do like long distance stuff too, not just right by the bank.
Nice. I mean, your skills are so vast. You have so many different very well rounded, and we appreciate that. We look forward to seeing you and what you have upcoming and behind the scenes when you go to South America. I'm looking forward to maybe even trying to get there. So that would be so much fun to join you. Tours. I miss the jungle. I miss being stripped of everything. I will wear clothes this time, though, I promise. So you don't have to worry about that. But
well, the thing is, it's a vacation down there, because I have paying clients. When we bring people down there, they're paying us good money, so we don't let them starve. If you want to, that's fine. But we kind of like rice and beans and things like that too. So, for instance, if you want us to bring a toilet seat down there, we can bushcraft a latrine. So I would not mind that at all. I think that's an excellent idea.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Joe, and we appreciate you at American Survival Guide. We'll definitely be able to see you guys on our website. Make sure you guys check us out. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is Joe Flowers. How can they get a hold of you on Instagram? Are you just Joe Flowers?
No, Bushcraft Global. If you look up Bushcraft Global on Instagram, you'll find all of our fun stuff.